Welcome everyone. Today I do discuss about the new things of economics. Most important thing is that at present, if we focus on the markets, the most important point of view about the market is that economy, because everyone has lot of challenges about the economy, economical development, economical issues, and many more things. So we have to understand the economy first properly in a professional way. If we can understand the demand, supplies, and our local markets and the international markets, and if we can take necessary initiative on that particular points, then we get more success. So first thing first, we have to learn what we learned from this from these chapters mm, that discuss how competitive market determine price, output, and profit. Like when we have a specific price for a product, as well as when we have to understand the output and the profit. So example, if we can create 100,000 of mask, we have to determine the price and the profit. When we determine the price and profit, that times we can understand the real market, and can take necessary initiative. What is market structure? The characteristics of a market including number of firms, similarities of the product they sells, and the ease of entry and exit. So you have to understand the perfect competitions actually create a major roles in the market. If you have the market, if you have the perfect competitions, then you can produce quality products, and you can produce the quality employees, and by this way you can go for the long way. So a perfect competition is that a market structure characterized by a large number of small firms, homogeneous products, and very easy entry or and exit. So what is meant by a large number of farm or sellers? A large number of sellers and farm, each farm is small relative to the total market, that no single farm can influence the market price. So where at present scenario, that if we want to understand about the market, if you want to understand the productivity, if you want to understand the things that COVID situations, we have to understand properly. Let's say when COVID come, maybe the luxurious products demand decreases. On the other hand, necessary product, let's say regular foods, medicines, mask, PPE, transportations, technological involvements, many things may increase. When it increase, then we have to take necessary measures, and our business organization need to take proper care of that. So what does homogeneous mean? Goods that can be distinguished from one another. For from example, Farmer Brown's rice is identical to Farmer Jones' rice. If a production is homogeneous, buyers are indifferent as to which seller product they buy. What does very easy entry mean? A very easy entry means perfect competition is about a new firm faces no entry barriers such as financials, technicals, or government imposed barrier. What is the result of a firm conforming to the perfect competition model? The firm is a price taker. So which means it is a seller that has no control over the price of the products. What determines price in perfect competitions? Market demand and market supplies. When we have a market demands and when we have a market supply, that time we can create perfect competitions for the products. What determine the individual farm demand curve? Basically, a horizontal lines at the market price, it determines the individual farm demand curves. If you ask me question, why is this horizontal line the farm demand curve? If the farm charges more than this price, when we have a specific price and the farm charges more than this price, it will not sell anyone, and it has no incentive to charge less than this price. What is the farm demand curve horizontal at the market price? Because the farm can sell all it produces at the market price. Why does the farm have no incentives to charges less than the market price? It can sell everything it brings to the market at the market price. So there are different questions we have and different things we have to give the answers. What does the perfect competitive farm control means? If as a price taker, the farm control is how many unit it produced. How many units should the farm produce? It actually depends, but the number of unit that will maximize its profit or the minimize its losses. So we have to understand a curve, a specific way when we can maximize our profit. On the other hand, we can minimize the loss. What are the two methods to determine how many units to produce? TR and TC methods and MR and MC methods. So now I want to discuss something about market supply and demand. If you see the x-axis and this x-axis, we can find the quantity of outcome. On the other hand, it's a y-axis, and this y-axis is a price per unit. So if you find out this specific zones, you can find there is a supply curve and there is a demand curve. So when we produced quantity of outcome is 60 and its price per like $70, that is the equilibrium points, and in this equilibrium point is good for market. So individual farm demands. So if you want to understand the individual farm demands, let's say we have some specific things like a quantity of output 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10s. It's a quantity of outputs. On the other hand, y-axis, it's actually price per unit. So in that particular situations, you find the D is a demand. This is the demand curve. This is the individual farm demand. There is no supplies and no demand. This is the individual supply demands. Using the total revenue, total cost methods, total revenue and total cost. So when we can utilize the total revenue and total cost methods, that in that specific points, when the farmer can produce what the distance between TR and TC is the greatest. So when we have a TR and TC is the greatest, that points we have to produce our things. Short-run profit maximization schedules for the computer as a perfectly competitive firms. So in that situation, if you see that in this curve, we can find there are few things. Number one, output, price per unit, total revenue, marginal cost, total cost, average total cost, and profit or loss. So if a company can input once, so price per unit will be $70 and total revenue will be 70. So marginal revenue will be 70. So in that situations, marginal cost will be 50. So we can pay with average variable cost, average fixed cost, and dependent cost. It's in profit. It will be $80 of loss based on our average total cost and average variable cost. In the same way, if we can figure out, let's say, go for the two outputs, so that time its price is also $70, we can produce 140s. So in that situations, our marginal revenue will be 70, marginal cost will be 24s, so total cost will be 184s. We have our variable cost $42, we have our average cost $92, and we have lost minus $44. So same way, if we go for the 5 outputs and we have $70, so our total revenue is $350 and marginal revenue is 70, marginal cost is 23, and 227 will be our total cost. In that situations, average variable cost is 2032, average total cost is 57, and in that situation our profit or loss will be 53. So in that situation, $53 we can do. So same things, if we do, let's say, 70 output or 7 outputs, $70, and then we can find out total revenue is 490 and marginal revenue will be 70, marginal cost is the 48, total cost is 318, average variable 31, average total 45. In that situation 172 will be our profit. So in that way, if we go for the 9 outputs, that time our price per unit is 70, total revenue is 630, and marginal revenue will be 70. And in that situation marginal cost will be 70s, and our total cost will be $425. So in that particular situations we can figure out $36 variable cost, average cost will be 47, and our profit will be $205. So this is the maximum level of outcomes and profit we can do. So same things when we put more labors, and we our price per unit is 70. So that time $700 is our profit, our marginal revenue is 70, and marginal cost is 75, little bit of increase. So that time our total cost is $500. So average variable cost $40, average total cost will be $50, and total profit will be $200, little bit of decrease. So in that situations we find if we more go for the more outcome, that time we our reducing like we will reduce our profit. So maximum this level we can produce our things. Let's say we can produce our manufacturing or anything in that place. So this is the methods of total revenue and total cost. So in this total revenue and total cost methods, we have to analyze the market in a professional way, and we have to understand how we can go for the greater things. So it's a quantity. X-axis is the quantity of outputs. Y-axis is the revenue and the totals. So in the X-axis, if we go for the 0 to 9, in that situations, let's say we produced we go for the output is 12, and that time we can revenue $600. So this is the times actually if we analyze our total output and these points, this is the time that maximum profit will be $205. So this is the ultimately the place where we can produce a maximum profit from our production. Exhibit profit or loss. So when we go for this curve, there are two things. One is x-axis and another is y-axis. In the x-axis, quantity of the outputs when it's a 9 and our price is a $200, in that particular times we actually get maximum $205. This is the exhibit of our profit. So what is marginal revenue? The change in total revenue from the sale of one additional unit of output. Let's say a total revenue. Let's say that it's now we are producing $12 profit, but on sale or an addition of outputs, we let's say when we go for the 10 output, that times our marginal revenue is changed. So when it's marginal revenue change, that times we have to concern that is the output we will do more, we will create more supply for the market or not. So marginal cost, the marginal cost basically focus in this way. The marginal cost is the change in total cost from the sale of one unit of output. MC equals to total cost divided by 1, that output. Using the MR and MC method, what should a farm produce? When MR equals to MC, when we find MR equals to MC, that time we can say that farm can produce. A farm can produce. Why should a firm continue to produce as long as MR, marginal revenue, is greater than marginal cost? As long as marginal revenue is greater than MC, profit is being made on that last unit product produced and sold. Why will a firm not produce any unit where MR is less than MC? At any unit of output where marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, the firm incurs a loss. Price, marginal revenue, and cost per unit. If you go for the marginal quantity of the output, where is the 9 is the maximum times we can generate $70 and we can make profit $205, where actually marginal cost and marginal revenue, it has a perfect difference. And in that place, actually in that place, we can produce a maximum profit. Exhibit profit or loss. So this is ultimately the x-axis and y-axis. So y-axis is the profit and x-axis is the maximum profit outputs. So in that regions where we can produce nines and we make around $200, this is the $205 we can produce. Marginal revenue, marginal cost approach. In the marginal revenue and the marginal cost approach, we already said that marginal cost and marginal revenue, when it has the maximum things, that time we can produce. On the other hand, if we want to focus on the marginal loss, it means short run loss minimize using the marginal revenue equals to marginal cost method for a perfectly competitive firm. So in that situations, we can go for the economic loss. The short-run shutdown point for a perfectly competitive firm, where price marginal revenue is below minimum average AVC, average cost, the firm will shut down. So this is the quantity of outputs and this is the price and cost per unit. So quantity of output, this is the MR, marginal revenue. This is the MC, marginal cost. This is ATC, marginal average total cost. This axis is the marginal average cost. So this is the point. This is the shutdown points. Let's say when we produce more than 6 and less than 7, this point we have to shut down. So in this market analysis, we have to understand these things and we have to take necessary step on that particular point. So when we can identify the supply, short run supply curve. So this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. In the x-axis, we have A, B, C, and D, marginal cost point. On the other hand, it has a marginal revenue point. So when we produce 10s and price is 90, that is the supply curve. On the other hand, here's in that particular point, it's create B, where actually marginal cost and the ATC, they are intersect together. On the other hand, this A points is where actually this marginal revenues and this marginal cost intersects. So where point A, its quantity of output is 5.5. Point B, its quantity of output is 7. Point C, its quantity of output is 10. Exhibit driving the industry short run supply curve. Compass MC curve plus Western Computers Company equal to industry supply curve. In this industry supply curve, if we focus that quantity of output, price, marginal cost per unit, quantity of output, price, quantity per unit, and quantity of output, MC. So in that situations, MCs, and here is the two axis, the 11 points, like when the quantity of output is 11 and price is 40, and MC is when quantity of 90s and the output is 15. So computed MC curve plus Western computer companies equals to industry supply curve. So this is actually the supply curve for the industry. What is the perfect competitive industry supply curve? The horizontal summations of the MC curve of all firm in the industry above the minimum point on their AVC curve. Individual short-run competitive equilibrium. So individual short-run competitive equilibrium, we can focus quantity of output and price and cost per unit. In that situation, this is the nines. Here is the MC and marginal cost and marginal revenue. This is the maximum points when its price and cost per unit is $60 and quantity will be $90. That times we can produce our maximum profit and we can create individual short-run competitive equilibrium. So here actually industry short-run competitive equilibriums. Here is the supply curve and this is the demand curve. The supply and demand curve, they intersect in these points, and in these points we can figure out when we can produce $60 we can produce 60 quantity, and this is the maximum industry short-run quantity equilibrium point. So when we produced any kind of things, when we produce any kind of technology, when we produce any kind of interesting things, we have to identify, we have to analyze, we have to understand the economic strategy. When we can understand the economic strategy, then we can identify, we can real things. What is a normal profit? The minimum profit necessary to keep a firm in operations. In the long run, what happens when economic profit are made? When the firm makes more than a normal profit, more firm enter the industry, it's greater than supply increase, then we get a downward pressures is put on price, then we get the firm only make normal profit. So we have to understand that how a firm can make a normal profit. In the long run, what happens when the losses are made? When farm make less than a normal profit, then we go for the farmer leave the industry, then we go for the supply decrease, then we go for an upward pressure is not put on price, then we go for normal profit. In the long run, where is equilibrium? At the market price that enables farm to make a normal profit. What equality exists a long run perfect competitive equilibrium, where P is equal to MR is equal to SRMC equals to SRATC equals to LRAC. So what does it mean? Long run perfect competitive equilibriums, quantity of output and price and cost per unit. So quantity of output, if we look, we can find that this is 6. Okay, this is 6 and this is the $60. So in that situation, SRMC, then SRATC, then LRAC, they put together in same place. So what different type of industry can exist in the long run? So now is a very important moment for everyone, and we have to understand how actually economy can move and economy can survive and economy can go to the next level. So in that situation, what different type of industries can exist in the long run? Constant cost. When we have a constant cost, when we can decreasing cost, and when we can increasing cost, that times we can get the exist of the long run. What is a constant cost industry? An industry in which the expansion of industry output supply by the entry of a new firms has no effect on the firm's cost curves. What is a decreased short industry? An industry in which the expansion of industry outputs by the entry of a new firm decrease the firm cost curve. What does the long run supply curve look like in decreasing cost industry? It is downward sloping. What is an increasing cost industry? An industry in which the expansion of industry output by the entry of the new firm increasing the firm cost curve. What does the long run supply curve look like in increasing cost industry? It is upward sloped. So this is actually long run supply in a constant cost industry. In the part B shows that an industry in equilibriums at point E and produce 50,000 unit per hour and selling from the 60 per hour unit. In the part, the farm is in equilibrium, produces 6 unit per hour and earning a normal profit. Then industry demand increases from D1 to DT and the equilibrium price ties to $80. Industry output rise temporarily from 70,000 unit per hour and the individual farm can increase output to 7 units per hour. Farms are now earning an economic profit which attract new farms into the industry. In the long run, the entry of this farm causes the short-run supply curve to the shift reward from S1 to S2. The price is researchable at $60 and the new industry equilibrium point. E3 is established, E2 industry output rise and 90 unit per hour and the farm output returns 6 unit per hour. Now the type called farm earn a normal profit and new farm stop earning the industry, connecting E1 to connecting E2. So this is the general long run supply curve. The same things if we focus what is the decreasing cost of industry. So we find an industry in which the expansion of industry outputs by the entry of the new farms decreasing the farmer cost curve. What does the long run supply curve look like? Decreasing cost industry. It is downloading shop. Increase in the demand sets a higher equilibrium price. Entry of the new farm increasing supply, equilibrium price and ATC decrease downward sloping run supply curve. So same things like example, what is an increasing cost per industry? An industry in which the expansion of industry output by the entry of new farms increasing the farm cost curve. What does the long run supply curve look like in the increasing the cost industry? It is upwarding sloping. So increase in the demand sets of higher equilibrium price. It go to entry of the new farms, increase supply, then equilibrium price and ATC increase, then upward sloping long run supply curve. So this is the way how we can think our demand and supply curve, how we can understand our demand and supply issues, and how we can understand the present conditions. So when we go for a specific objective, like we will run our business, so we have to understand how we can manage the maximum profit and with our maximum output. So when we identify the maximum profit and the maximum output, that time we can produce in that level, that amount of productions we can do. When we do the maximum amount of productions, this is actually ultimately help us to understand to grow our business. So now is a very important moment for every industry. Now it's a very important moment for every corporations, that how they can contribute, how they can organize, how they can intersect with the business. So when we intersect with the business, we have to analyze our market in a proper way. So this is very interesting point for all of the developing economy, especially country like Malaysia, country like Indonesia, country like Vietnam, country like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. All of them has a different point of views. All of them have a different strategy. All of them has a different cultures and point of view. So when we have a different cultures and different point of view, that time we have to understand that how we can handle the local market. Let's say Malaysia has 32 million people. So in the 32 million people, like how much productions we need for mask. This is very important. In what points they can make the maximum profit, in what points they can lose and they can go for the shutdown. These things we have to understand. Before that, like anything happen, we are trying to produce these things, anything we are trying to do by ourselves, it will not come up with a proper way. So there is a scientific methods, there is a scientific strategy, and there is a scientific way. When we can understand the scientific methods, when we understand the scientific way, at that time we can produce our maximum things. This is the ultimately way, this is the ultimately objective of our school of talent economy. We are trying to help our different corporations as well as our students, that how they can understand that understand the economy. So when they understand economy properly, they can run their organization in a proper way. Thank you for joining today's session. Especially I want to give special thanks to Araf Mehraj. And if you have any kind of question, you can ask me and I will give you different kind of question answer. Thank you.